Okay folks, we are back from vacation. We were gone for about a week. Also hooking up the liner to the spillway, the waterfall. So I'm going to go move some of those big rocks. We are going to expand this pond. That will mean peeling this back and doing some more digging, but it's going to be worth it in the end. It's supposed to be kind of a sketchy process. It's a great idea to reduce the amount of sand that's going to be in the pond.
I'll be honest with you folks, Paul and I did not know this would ever happen.
We have the circular saw, the jigsaw, the reciprocating saw, chainsaw. So my brilliant idea was not so brilliant. I like it. Right next to the new pond, we're going to put a second pond. I'm going to think about it for a few minutes.
I'm just very, very excited. That's so awesome!
As we talked about last week, our main project now is to make our little backyard pond into a big backyard pond. In order to do this, it's going to require lots and lots of digging. We also had to buy a new large pond liner, a skimmer and a waterfall, a new pump, some hose. We've a lot of time and money put into this, but we are so excited because although we were happy with our little pond, we were just ready for an upgrade. And this is going to be a long process, but it's going to be so worth it, and we are so excited for it. As you can see, I'm getting my workout in, so I don't have to go to the gym this week, so that works. A lot of the soil I'm digging out, I'm bringing to a low spot in the yard, filling that in, so that works too. I laid out this old garden hose as an outline for our new pond. So our pond is going to be wider and longer. Okay folks, we are back from vacation. We were gone for about a week, so we are finally back. Had a great time, by the way. We are back, and back into the projects. I have dug out this pond a little bit more, a little deeper. Just kind of neatened it up a little bit as we were gone. You know, some rains came and filled it in a little bit with sand, so I dug it out a little bit better. What I'm going to do next is measure to make sure that this is the right size for our liner. I want to make sure it's not too big. I'm going to use a string so I can follow the contours of the pond and mark the string and then measure the string to make sure our liner is big enough. Okay, I don't know if you can see the string here. It's bright orange string, but it's kind of small. There we go. You can see it. Okay, I followed the contours of the pond all the way up and out on this side, and allow for a little bit extra for the liner to hang out a little extra. I'm also hooking up the liner to the spillway, the waterfall at that end of the pond over here. So I want to make sure we have enough. Now I'm going to pull up this string and measure it with a tape measure. Okay, so that one-way measured at 28 feet. So provided that the liner is as big as they say it is, if it's the right size, we should be good. Now I'm going to measure the width. I'm pretty sure the width will be good, but we're going to measure it just to make sure. Just using some masking tape to mark the line. Okay, my measurements worked out okay. We've got 28 feet by 17, so we should have plenty. What I'm going to do now is place my spillway waterfall, which is going to be right where that big pile of boulders is. I'm going to go move some of those big rocks and put this into place just to give me an idea. And then I'm going to place my skimmer and dig out the spot for that. Alright, that's the rough location of the waterfall. Now, to place the skimmer. That's going to take a little more digging. I'm going to place the skimmer the opposite end here. And this is the skimmer. Okay, the instructions say that this has to be about 1 inch above the water line. So I'm just going to figure out to make sure that's right. And we have to make sure the ground under that is nice and packed down so there's no settling in the future. And then we'll start moving around with the liner. Well, the underlayment, then the liner. And guess who was finishing staining the fence? Thank you, Gina. So to make sure my pond is relatively level all the way around, I'm going to use some plumber string and a line level. I've got some stakes set out around the pond. If one end is too low or one end is too high, you're going to see some of the liner or some of the rocks poking up. It won't be pretty. You'll have to make sure your outer rim is pretty level. So let's get that measured up. We're looking good. As you know, we have to have different levels in our pond for interest, but also what we need to have is a little shelf, a little lip around the outside edge for boulder placement. For the rocks and stones that are going to be lining the outside of the pond, you want them to be submerged a little bit in the water so you don't see any of the liner. So we have to make sure we have a little lip, like that one there, all the way around to accommodate the boulders and rocks that are going to be around the outer edge. So we have it in most of the areas. I'm going to start digging it out around the rest of the pond just to make sure we're ready to roll. I found that running this string was really helpful to know exactly where the water line is going to be and really judge everything out. It really helped a lot. I'm going to take it down now so I can finish setting the waterfall and also starting putting the underlayment down. Time to lay in the underlayment. Now this underlayment came in 2 pieces. This is just one of them. I ordered more than I needed so I could overlap a little bit. Well, a lot bit. So lucky to have our son Jake as a helper throughout this whole project. He's been very helpful and could not have done it without him. Okay, so now that we have the liner in place, we are realizing we're not using enough of this liner. We are going to expand this pond a little bit more, basically to get our money's worth. We paid for this nice big liner. I was worried that it wouldn't be big enough, but it looks like it's going to be plenty big. I'm just going to expand it a little bit. That will mean peeling this back and doing some more digging, but it's going to be worth it in the end. So I'm going to get started.
There was a spot that was missing an underlayment, and the underlayment just couldn't be cut or moved anymore. So we decided with our old liner to use that on the part that was sticking out. I'm just going to attach the skimmer to the liner according to the manufacturer's instructions. Wish me luck. It's supposed to be kind of a sketchy process. I've already wiped everything down. Hopefully that's going to be enough to give it a good seal.
I'm now going to attach the hose to the back of the spillway with the hose clamp. I had to buy new hose clamps, bigger ones, because the ones they provided were too small. And then I'm going to attach the liner to the spillway front. Didn't give me instructions on this one, so I'm just trying to wing it. It doesn't mention to use the silicone, but I'm not sure if I'm going to use it anyway. So just trying to trim this is kind of tricky. These rocks have been lining our driveway to keep the mulch from spilling in, but as it turns out, we need these rocks for the pond. So we have a new solution for this area here. We're going to get some landscape timbers in the future very soon and fill in this area. But for now, these rocks are needed elsewhere. Gina suggested that I start rinsing these off with a hose, which was a great idea to reduce the amount of sand that's going to be in the pond. What I'm going to do next is dig a trench from this. This is the skimmer box hidden under this pile of stuff. Where this hose is, we need to conceal that hose that goes all the way over to the spillway. I need to conceal that hose, so I'm going to dig a trench for that now, and then I'm going to continue putting those rocks in place. This walkway that we built last year, we're still not happy with. We've got a better plan for it coming up in a future video. We'll be doing that in a couple of weeks. But for now, I'm going to remove these stepping stones, set them aside for a different project coming up. I'm sure we'll come up with something. And then we're going to take these small stones and use them to line the flat surfaces of the pond.
I am so excited to see the water going in. I'm not sure if you can see it, but oh my goodness, this, I'll be honest with you folks, Paul and I did not know this would ever happen because everything that could go wrong went wrong with this. Timing was off as we had a wedding in Ohio to go to, and we had all kinds of mishaps. We had lots of things going on with the house. We had cars issues. We had all kinds of things. So because of that, this project was delayed and delayed and delayed. Hence the reason our videos have not been super exciting. We just wanted you to see what we've been doing, kind of a quick idea, but we didn't get to show you all of it. And this project alone, oh my word, these, look at all these stones. We had done this in 2 days. Like last night it was started with some of the rocks and then mainly the border, and then some of them, you know, some of these big ones here that would be flat to cover the liner. And obviously there's some of that liner, the way it's so steep, we can't cover it. So hopefully it won't be so obvious. But the rest of all these little rocks were today, and we're just filling it. So this was all in one day. We are completely soaked with sweat. I'm glad there's no smell-o-vision. You don't want to know what we smell like. This has been rough, let me tell you. I am going to jump in the pool while this is filming. So I can't wait for it to be all set up. So here's the start of it. Oh my gosh, I can see the finish line. Can you see the finish line, Paul?
I can see it. Still have a little bit more work to do. We're going to build a bridge. I'm going to head out to Lowe's this afternoon to get some lumber, build a nice little bridge over here. Once that's built, we're going to touch up around the edges, maybe move some rocks around, add some rocks, trim the liner, add some soil, plants, and mulch. So excited. Been a long time coming.
It has been. And the final thing after will be all the landscaping, all the beautiful greenery and flowers, putting our swing in place.
Right.
We can't wait.
Yeah. Okay, now we've got the water level right, and we've got the pump on and the spillway working. We've got some tweaking to do on the waterfall, and we'll of course have to trim back the liner. But first, I'm going to build a bridge. So go right over the narrow part right there, and I'm going to get started right away. Okay, so I picked up some lumber. I've got a plan for the bridge. My plan for the supports is to have two 2x6s stacked on top of each other. And I want to make it a curved bridge, so the top 2x6, I'm going to have a curve cut into it. Kind of like so. I'm going to curve it kind of like that. That's my basic plan anyways. So I'm going to have 3 supports on this bridge, one on each edge and one in the center to give it some strength. Now to cut through this pressure treated lumber, there are different options, different saws to use. Let's see what we have. We have the circular saw, which is a great powerhouse tool. However, you can't cut angles with it. So that would be pretty tricky to use. We've got the jigsaw, which is excellent at cutting angles. However, years ago I burnt out the motor on one, cutting through very similar stuff, cutting through some pressure treated decking. So I don't want to do that to this jigsaw. Then you have the reciprocating saw, which is excellent at cutting all kinds of different shapes. However, you can't really follow a line because you can't see the line while you're cutting it. So I've decided to use a chainsaw. I am going to screw the 3 different supports, the curved parts of the supports together as one big block. And I'm going to give it a try to cut all 3 at the same time. That way the angles, the curves are all the same, and this saw is strong enough to not burn out the motor. And I should be able to see the line close enough to give it a good cut. I'm going to give it a try in a moment. Okay, time to screw these 3 boards together. Now to draw out the arc shape, I'm going to pencil in some reference points. So if anybody thinks this is a bad idea, please let me know in the comments so I don't make a terrible mistake. I'll try to read the comments before I do this. So my brilliant idea was not so brilliant. Having some trouble with the chainsaw cutting through. So I'm going to take them apart and try to do them individually. Okay, we're going to try with a circular saw next. This probably would have been the smartest choice from the beginning. Not being able to cut a curve presents the issue, but with multiple cuts you can kind of make it work. So hopefully the damage I did with the chainsaw doesn't ruin this whole project. I'm going to try to get all 3 of these cut and sand out and file down all the bumps. I am embarrassed to show you this horrible massacre I made with a chainsaw, but for full transparency's sake, I'm showing it to you anyway. So that is the mess that I made, and I'm worried about the structural integrity. Even though that'll be sandwiched on top of another 2x6, I'm going to marry this in here. A section of this pressure treated to make up for. We'll do that on each of these. Cut off a section of this piece here and marry it in to fill in that horrible mess and give it some more strength. Pilot holes to prevent splitting. Because these will be under the bridge, they will not be visible. Okay, now it's time to stack these on top of each other and attach them with screws. Now we're going to add some more strength. Hold these like so. Now that I've done some staining, I'm going to attach my 3 bridge supports together. I'm going to attach them on the bottom side to start with some pressure treated scraps. And then we'll flip them over and work on the top side and then get the handrails attached.
Okay, here we are on the top side again. My bridge, by the way, is 32 inches wide. That way I can get 3 planks out of each 8-foot board. So I'm going to attach 3 of those boards now, 1 at each end and 1 near the middle, just to give it structure. Then I'm going to attach the handrails, and then we're going to put it in a place, and then I'll put the rest of the floor planks on the bridge after that. I may end up moving this board in the center. I'm just putting it in temporarily. Again, just for stability while we put it into place. Next, we're going to work on the handrail. So I'm planning on 2x4 supports going up the sides, and then a 1x4 actual handrail. Everything on this bridge is pressure treated. Being outdoors and its proximity to water, we want it to last as long as possible. Okay, so it feels like the comfortable height for a handrail is about 36 inches high. So I'm going to plan on that. I'm going to cut my supports at 36 inches plus I'm going to add 7 inches. The ones at the end anyways. So we can go all the way to the bottom of the support, the bridge support. And let me check the angle at which I'm going to cut the top so the handrail can be angled at the same angle the bridge is kind of angled up, or close to it. It looks like a 10-degree angle, so I'm going to cut one at that angle and see if that seems right. Seems pretty good. Now I'm going to cut 3 more at that same angle. The other supports might be slightly different angle because the bridge, the way the curve is going, is slightly different angle as we go, and it'll be different lengths. But for the 4 corners, I'm going to cut it at this 43 inch with a 10-degree angle at the top. Okay, now that we have the 4 corner posts up, I'm going to measure out for the other 4. I'm going to go 32 inches off the edge. That way it'll, I think it'll come out just right. Being an 8-foot length. Okay, so I've cut each of these at 48 inches long with a 10-degree angle. It looks like about 1 inch too long. We'll take 1 inch off of both of these. Now this 10-degree angle is going to work out good for the first 2 posts. However, when the second and third posts meet, it's going to be more of a straight line. I'm going to straighten off half of that angle. Okay, so I'm going to keep this saw set at a regular 90-degree angle cut. And I'm going to try to mark it so we're only going halfway in. Roughly. So you can see we still have a slight angle here on the end for the handrail on the side. And this in the center handrail is going to be a 90-degree angle. I may have gone a little bit past halfway, but it's pretty close enough. Now before I put up the other 2 supports, I'm going to start cutting my handrails, make sure that this system is going to work out right, like it worked out in my head. So I have these pressure treated 1x4s. I'm going to place one up there now just to see if it has a decent fit. I like it. I'm going to cut it at 36 inches and try to give it a little bit of an overhang on the end here, about a couple inches. And I'm going to see if I can make the cut at a slight angle, a 10-degree angle at the top. I think that works out nice. I cut the 10-degree angle at this end so that the center one will be 90-degree angles. All the 4 end ones will be at the 10-degree cut. Nice. So in this whole process, we've decided to add a second pond. We've got our old liner and maybe some big pieces of our new liner. We've got the pump from our old pond, and we want to add a second small pond and waterfall. So here's our bridge and our new pond. We're going to do it right next door, right next to the new pond. We're going to put a second pond right there. So Jake's going to start digging that. Gina's going to be doing some staining, and we are going to get this rocking. So here we go. Here's a spot for a new pond. We finally dug it out. Mostly Jacob's work. I touched it up a little at the end. Now I'm getting ready to get a liner for it. I've got pieces of the new liner that are way too small to use for anything, so I'm going to use them as an underlayment for this new pond. So it seems that one of the scraps is almost big enough to fill this pond. I'm going to think about it for a few minutes. I may try to shrink the pond a little bit to make that liner work, or just use that as an underlayment and add the old pond liner over this. Let me think it over. Okay, in looking at the old liner, I've discovered several tiny holes. So I guess that answers that. I'm going to have to try to shrink this pond a little bit. I guess I was a little overzealous in the digging. Alright, let's see what we can do. Okay, so old liner as underlayment. Then we've got some scraps of the new liner I'm going to add on top as more underlayment. And then the big scrap of new liner as the new liner. Running a little bit low on rocks here. Has to be creative. Here's the basic shape so far. So now I'm going to set up my secondary pump to this waterfall. I'm going to try to hide the hose as best I can. Okay, I've got a rough idea of how things are going to set up. Now I've got to trim away all this excess plastic, the underlayment and the liner. I'm going to go around the edges, cut all that away, and see what's next. So one thing to remember is the water level can only go as high as the edge of the liner. So behind the rocks, I like to pack in some dirt and raise the edge of the liner as high as it can go so the water level can go that high. Trying to gauge the low point of the liner, I think it's this little cut right here. Again, this is a second-hand piece, it's a scrap, so it's cut kind of jagged. I think that's our low point, or possibly this. Trying to make the low points as high as I can.
The rocks were really, really dirty, so the water looks very murky, but once the filter's on and the waterfall is on and all of that, this should clear it up. I really hope so, because this looks very murky. The other one, that connection there, look at how nice and beautifully clear that is. It's a very different filter system. It should clear up. If it doesn't, we'll have to have a solution to clear it up. But so far it's looking really pretty cool, minus the murkiness. This one is just gorgeous. I'm just very, very excited. And of course we will be covering that waterfall area. We'll top it with a rock so it'll be hidden. And we're going to clean up all these edges and not have liner showing. It's all going to be great once it's finished. Paul is working on the deck right now. Excuse the camera. I'm going to move it so you can see him. He's working on that. This little landing here. It's like a mini deck. And it looks great. It's going to resolve this issue. We never could do anything right here. It would just get really yucky and lots of weeds and just really hard to keep up. We tried the stone, we tried brick, we tried just having greenery there. It's just too much. And honestly, I think this makes sense with the deck here, and it's going to be easier to keep track of and cleaned up. Back to the murky waters. So we'll show you it all set up with the waterfall once it's finished filling. So it's filled enough where we can start putting on the waterfall.
Not what I anticipated, but
We're going to finagle things a little bit to work on that waterfall. It just looks like a hose spurting out, so we're going to fix that a little bit. Oh, that's great, honey. That looks great. That looks so great. That's so awesome. So it really spurts out, but it gives us that noise that we're looking for, that the sound buffer that we need, and that one's a little more gentle, and it hopefully looks more natural this way. We're going to have rocks and greenery in between with maybe a little stepping stones in between both of them to do a walk through if we need to have access to it, but also if we wanted to go around both of them. I'm loving it. What do you think?
So right now I'm in the pond. Although it looks fun, it looks like I want to take a swim. I'm not really doing that. And what the heck am I doing with this? So we've decided to add some little rocks. We have an area in our town that gets rid of rocks where you can come and scoop it up. We decided to get a few buckets worth. Unfortunately, they're full of a lot of, I don't know what it is, some kind of gray dust from the rocks, I guess. So we're dumping it in and I'm scooping out everything I can, and we're kind of going to let the filter do its job and try to filter out all the muck. So it'll be murky for a bit, but that's why I'm in here, to line the bottom with these new stones. It'll look more pond-like. So now we're taking our plants that we already have in this area that are just getting drowned out, and there's so many of them that we needed plants around the pond areas. So we're using, so we love to reuse, folks. We're reusing all the plants that we have on hand to go around the pond, both ponds. What we're going to do after this is actually purchase new plants for the new area, but that's a last thing that we're going to do. We have to fill in this area, then go on to a couple of projects in this area of, like, we're going to add a patio, we're going to add a patio under our swing, and sort of like an outdoor kitchen area. And then when all of that's done, the very finishing touch will be adding new plants and flowers and some mulch. But right now we're adding this landscaping around the pond with plants we already have had on hand.
So I woke up this morning to this. Apparently there's a leak in this liner. It was just a scrap piece of liner, so we were hopeful. Everything came out beautiful with the rocks and the planting around it, but water's leaking underneath the liner again. So what we've done is we ordered a small, cheap liner to cover this up. It'll be in a couple of days. So that's when we won't show you the update on that on this video, because that'll be too late. This is why our videos have been coming out so sporadically and long time in between. Everything that's gone wrong with this project has gone wrong. We're happy with the results of most of it. As you can see, this pond is looking wonderful. Waterfall, everything. What had happened was the skimmer had come cracked on this pond, and the liner took forever on FedEx ground, which came 2 weeks late. So another reason why this is so late. So to finish this end of the decking there, and there's the skimmer that had come in cracked originally. We had to send it back. See, it's pulling the leaves in. It's working great. So we apologize for the length of time between our videos. It's frustrating for us as well with the waiting and the issues, all kinds of stuff going on. Anyways, plus stuff that's outside the realm of landscaping, mold remediation in the attic that we still have to take care of some more of that. All kinds of stuff going on in our lives outside of this. So this is what we're at now. We're going to replace this liner in a few days and get this back up and running. But in the meantime, I've been busy transplanting. I've transplanted some Rosa Sharon along the fence. Been putting rocks and plants around these ponds. I'm going to continue that now. Over on this end of it. We haven't done this end yet. After we moved that giant hydrangea bush, which came out well, it seemed happy in its new location. Let's, the swing's not in place yet either, but there's the new location for the hydrangea, right next to the wood pile. Hopefully it'll be happy there. There's the Rosa Sharon in the back, peeking up, that I just planted. And now I'm going to plant some plants around this side of the pond. And when I say plant some plants, we're just shopping our yard so far for plants. We've been moving things from all around the yard and putting them around the ponds, and it's been coming out great. Mostly from this area around the apple tree. I've had a lot of extra plants here. It's a little overgrown, so we're taking them from that area and filling in around the pond. You can see the oak leaf hydrangea in the corner there, right by the deck. That's going to get nice and big and beautiful. So all in all, things are coming out well, just taking longer than expected.
In a few days, we'll be back. You don't have to wait a week this time, and you definitely don't have to wait a couple weeks like it's been lately. But in a few days, we're going to come back and show you the very finishing touches. This video turned out to be long as it is, and there was just so much content, and there's still work to be finished. We didn't want you to wait any longer. So we showed you what we showed you now. I cannot wait to show you the final result of this in a few days. And then we'll be back to our week to week, folks. Thanks for being patient. Thanks for watching. If you like this sort of video, please press the like button, the thumbs up. And if you are enjoying our content, please consider subscribing. It's free to join, and we really appreciate your support.